Alrighty, so I want to introduce you guys to the HOTC podcast, and we have the last couple of the cruise crew here with us, and they are very, very near and special to us. We connected with them first about 2 years ago, so make sure you guys check out that video. It was the G Vlog episode 4, I think it was, titled Sunday Fun Day. So we will drop that link below so you guys can see us with them, the Clarks, and everybody else in the video. But yeah, without further ado, we have Darnell and Dom here. They are the co-hosts of the P.I.T podcast. And instead of me talking about their podcast, I just want to let them do it.
And we ain't gonna say because she'll never remember the little things.
I need you to talk about that. I can never remember. I never ever can remember it.
We're a millennial couple.
Never ever. I need to memorize it. I will get it.
But basically, the P.I.T podcast is our podcast, and where we talk about it's called Power and Transparency. As well as we have a segment of power and testimony. So we do testimonies, and we're just transparent about things that go on in our marriage, things that go on in life that deal with the both of us, and just different things that we feel like when you're transparent about those things in your marriage or just in your relationships in general, it helps other people because other people get to realize that they go through those same things and they're not alone. So it causes for them to be able to ask questions, and you bring up a dialogue with whatever you're going through. So that's pretty much what the P.I.T podcast is about.
Yes, and it is very, very good and interesting. So make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe and turn those notifications on so you know when that new content, that inspirational, powerful, transparent content goes up. And it is interesting. I'm only saying that because she was yawning as he was talking about the P.I.T podcast.
It's a time thing. It has nothing to do with you saying. It's a time thing. We already talked about 8 o'clock is bedtime. We're a little bit past that.
I know. So late.
So we're going to be honest, open, transparent in our communication for this episode, as we always do. And so we just want to hear from you guys about your relationship, marriage, how long you guys known each other. Just introduce yourself to our listeners and our watchers.
Look at me.
And go.
The village wants to hear from you.
I know. Okay, we've been together for.
What's your name?
He already introduced us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he introduced. I mean, I can say it again. I'm Dom. I'm Dom. We met about 10, 11. We've been 11 years. 11 years together. Married 7. We met in college at the University of Washington. He was a basketball player. I ran track.
Actually 12.
12? Okay,
Yeah,
12.
In 2008.
Yeah. We met as athletes in a training room, and where most athletes are, pretty much. And I was getting treatment, and he came in and kind of interrupted my treatment, and kind of just went from there. He may have a different story of how that went. I initiated the conversation. I initiated the relationship.
Thank you for finally admitting
I did.
Thank you for finally admitting that.
As you would say, now I slid in his DMs.
Exactly.
I did.
I just want it to be known. Until this point, it's never been. He never really.
I have admitted it.
Okay.
I have. Yeah, I hit him up, and then the conversation just went from there, and it just kind of progressed and
to get the special treatment.
Within a couple weeks, you became my best friend. So it kind of jumped off like that. So
yeah, went from there. Now we're here.
12 years in the game.
12 years in the game. That's a long time.
12 years in the game.
That's good. Good you guys are on the podcast because we want to get experienced information because we're new to the marriage life. We're fresh. We newbies. We greenies. We freshmen. Whatever term you want to use.
Who says greenies?
Oh, a lot of people.
I've heard,
greenies.
I remember hearing greens.
Yeah, people you're acting green.
Yeah, when I heard it, I was like, "What do you mean you're acting green?" I don't even remember where the first time I heard it, but I was.
It's another term for that. Yeah.
All right, good to know. I saw it on like somebody's Facebook post, and I was like, "That's an interesting thing to put," and then I just kind of bypassed it. So,
I've heard it. I've never
no.
actually used it, but yeah, I've heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So we just want to get, experienced, knowledgeable information because as you guys seen before, I've said it many times, from the proposal video, trying to turn that 19 years at that point into 91 years. And so we want to make sure we have people on the set that'll give us quality marriage information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. We try our best.
Thank you
Absolutely.
in advance and for the past.
For sure. I will say you guys were probably at the top of the pyramid as far as opening the door for me in relationships and then not being so afraid of the M word, marriage. So I want to, extend a thank you.
Oh, we
right at the
appreciate
top,
that.
For sure.
I would like to say I appreciate you helping him get to those steps. Thank you. So we can get here. Appreciate
For sure.
it.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
since you're doing that, I want to thank the Lord
I'm
for
done.
allowing her to see
I'm done.
after 19 years that I was sitting here looking at you,
This is
just
like
waiting
in almost
patiently.
every episode.
Every episode is
Yes.
19
It
years.
makes its way in there
19
somehow.
years.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
But just like the spirit of all that we do, there are transitions, and so we're going to transition into the next, topic.
all right. So the topic for discussion is all about support. So in most relationships, there's always like an equal balance. Sometimes when you decide to become, what's the word, like monogamous or that type of a partnership, some person might be a little bit more supportive than the other, and sometimes it can just be, I don't understand the type of support you need. So way back when this guy and I kind of started getting past the best friendly ship.
It was ungodly, y'all.
Right. This would be the point where he would reference the slip and dip. So, when we progressed from there, and it was like, oh, this is actually going to be a real relationship. I would say his loyalties were all over the place. Mother and brother and that dude over there and this client and homegirl over there and that one person that I met that one time in Louisiana, and then somewhere down there was me. And so that was just a big issue for me. He didn't really seem to get like, no, it's cool, but no, it's not. So did you guys ever experience anything where as you guys were progressing through your relationship, it was like, but I need you on my side though? Anything like that?
I'm trying to think.
No.
No.
I don't think there was ever a time where we were like that because we were super supportive of each other. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter who, for me, it didn't matter what was going on anywhere else. It's like my friends, family, like it was all established early that like she came first. Even though we were just boyfriend, girlfriend in college or whatever, it was like, didn't matter if I was hanging out with her or if I was wanted to do something with her, it was gonna be her. And my boys understood it. In the beginning, like certain, like my younger like teammates, like my friends, they would be like, oh, you gotta be cupcaking all the time, or you with such and such. But as they got a little bit older, they started more years together with them. They understood how it was gonna be with them. Like me and the people that were in my age group, they knew.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's just how I was. That's how I was raised. It was like I'm gonna make sure that she's good, and then everything else follows after. So we never really experienced a time where it was like everything came before her or things came before me. Now priorities in terms of like when I was playing basketball and stuff like that, or when she's in track, that's understandable because
Right.
at that point we're not married, so I can't come before what she's going to school for. She can't come before what I'm going to school for.
Right.
But outside of that, it was always her first. It didn't matter, and to make sure that if I'm doing something, she knows what's going on, the communication part. So yeah, there was
especially when you're on scholarship and they paying all the bills.
right,
Man, absolutely, yeah. I think that's like a big thing is like just making sure that you're making each other like a big priority. I think that like at one point I feel like I don't know when it was, but this wasn't before the marriage. This was like during the marriage. And I felt like we just had a lot going on, and I was just like, man, like I feel like he's not like he's not listening, but he's not like thinking of. That was me feeling that, like me feeling like he's not thinking of me, or like he's not, and me because I only because I feel like I need to hear from him throughout the day. Like I want to feel like you're thinking of me, or like I'm on your mind, or just, or like sometimes we get so caught up in work and all these other different things in our lives that we sometimes will just put the other person like on the back burner sometimes. And at this times I'll want to feel like, oh, are you thinking of me sometimes? Like, it's like, I'll just, and for me, it's not anything big. Just a simple text message like, hey, how you doing? How's work? Or something like that. Yeah, like something like that, and I'm good. Like, I just know that I'm just on your mind. Right. But for the most part, it was pretty much the same before college. Before. I didn't even say in college, before marriage. We were pretty much, it was him. I made sure we were good. And during our marriage, it was, he comes first. Right. If I have to go home, then I have to go home. If he needs me, I'm going home, or whatever the case may be. It was always he's my top priority.
So Darnell said that he was raised that way. Is that something that you experienced being brought up as well, and that's why it was like in your mind, like this is how it kind of goes, and it wasn't a problem, or just
no, for me, I wouldn't say I was raised that way. My mom was never married. My dad was never married. I didn't really have anyone really to like look to.
Like an example.
Yeah, I never had an example or anyone like to look up to as far as that. I kind of just kind of learned on my own a little bit, but I just kind of knew me and my personality and just how I am and just things that I would see and read about and things like that. But I never really actually had that upbringing to where like, this is how you treat your husband. This is how you, right. It was just like me. I know like, this is who I love. This is who I want to be with. And this is how I'm going to treat him, right. So yeah.
Okay.
So.
That's my turn?
Yeah. We heard from them.
It's time to defend myself. So, yeah. Me growing up with my parents, I didn't really see the put first type of thing. Like my dad would come home and surprise my mother with gifts and things of that nature. But because my dad commuted as a teacher, it was more along the lines like we get to see them together probably for like 2 hours each day, because he'll go off to school at the same time we got to go off to school. Well, actually not really. He would leave before we would have to go. And then when we come home, there's basketball practices, other stuff like that. He'll be at night, or he would stay because he was a community teacher. So I didn't get to see too much of that. And then as I grew older, it was more along the lines of me putting a wall of fear up, but at the same time that does block happiness from coming in. So
what was the wall of fear?
Fear of relationship. Just fear of relationships.
Don't worry, I got you.
Hold on. Okay. Right. I'm good. Thank you.
So just a fear of relationships and being happy. And but at this point, you guys have already seen that the demon was birthed from that, because I carried the weight and the blame of my parents' relationship falling apart. Because when my dad came back into the desert as far as teaching, now we're around each other more and playing basketball, and a lot of the arguments my name was involved in. So when I found out that they had split, after freshman year of college, I had found out officially they had split, but they had been already split when I was a junior in high school. But we were all in the same house. So that kind of burned the foundation, like, to no existence. So whenever I got into any type of relationship, it was unconscious at the time, me just making sure happiness didn't set in my spirit long enough. And that's what killed a lot of relationships or potential relationships at that time. So that was where that came from.
So basically it was easier not to get really attached because you didn't have any plans for it to be continuous or long term.
No. So that's where I don't know, establish certain acquaintances,
okay,
or friendships, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I drew connection to those people that were like, to me, like ride or die for me through it all. And they weren't people that I was entertaining. They were just people that were friends through me entertaining other people. So majority of them are females. If that wasn't clear enough.
Yeah.
So it's a 13 community of females and one dude. So my connection to them was very strong, and then even stronger with my children's mothers. So it was more me. That was my circle. That was my crew. I make sure that they're good. They came first because they've been through the roller coaster of life with me.
Wait, your kids' mothers or your 13?
The kids' mothers are part of the 13.
Oh, okay. So the 13, you made sure that that was your crew, y'all good.
Yeah.
Take
But
care
then
of
what
y'all.
about her?
What about her? That was my mind frame.
Oh,
I thought you said
no! What do you mean what about her? Whoa.
I'm gonna cut that out. Right. So that was your mindset.
Yeah. Because that ensured that I'm cool with my people, then the mothers of my children. If I know they're good above the others, then my life is at peace because those are my kids. And if I'm like have them mad at me in any type of way or fashion, that affects my ability to see my kids, or affects my ability to see my son. And then I'm always probably going to be in court with my daughter, and that really messed up my mental. So that was my number one focus, was that, and then my crew. So that was enough happiness because it's distance. There's distance there between me and those individuals. As to where with her, she's literally right here, and that light starts shining on me a lot. Then it's like, yeah, let me focus back on these people because not worthy of happiness, not worthy of love, stuff like that.
So, and just to go back, that stems from you seeing your parents like split, and you felt like that would end it with because of you. So, like, is that like where that all started? As far as like, we talked about, you see an example of something, like, was it your parents seeing your parents and you thought like they were together, they were in love, and then it's like, oh, they split and it's because of me, like you admired the relationship, and now it's like, I don't deserve love, or because if they can't be happy, then I can't be happy, or that's where that came from.
And then me being a kid and hearing the stories, there's infidelity on one side of the family, and then there's divorce on the other. As far as that's pretty much the two pictures that I got. Well, my parents were in the middle, perfect, but then they became the divorce also. So that everything that I saw was just like, oh, okay. So all of that leads to that, or infidelity. I'm good. And then with the people I tried to entertain or ended up in a relationship with, at some point, because like I said, it was me distancing myself, I still end up hurting people. And so with me hurting those individuals, those ladies, it was just like, it's better for me to be alone, because then I won't be able to hurt anyone. And because I'm such a mama's boy, and my connection to females, I'm hurting females, and that's the thing I don't want to do. So it's best I just stick to me and my 13 children.
Why so many?
Then I'm good. Yeah, because
13?
it's my people's.
12 women, 1 male.
I don't know the exact numbers. I don't have my phone in front of me, but I think it's 13.
It is. We talked about it.
Okay.
I know. It's 13.
Okay.
Is that community still there though, or is it?
Yeah, they're still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they still? How high of a standard are they?
Oh, I've met the majority of them, like the core group. I've
Okay.
met them.
Yeah, face to face.
Yeah.
And the other's
So-
on FaceTime.
So
And
it's
some she has not yet. I don't think.
no, I haven't met all of them.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as how it goes now, you know, you got God, you got her, you got the kids, and then
13.
everybody else. Family, everybody else. Yeah.
Took a minute, but
But I would say the family, like our family, will probably be higher than friends, the 13, everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that goes without saying. I would say.
I need to make it known. Make that known. So yeah, that was, yeah,
All right.
that was a challenge to let them go. Cause I literally told you, okay, well I have to, you know, close some chapters. Some
Okay,
chapters.
Those
need
are
to be
his words
closed.
verbatim.
So when you, while you say, like you said, I need to close some chapters. Were these chapters?
I think I know where you're headed.
Yeah, because
Sit
were
up.
they?
Let them see your face.
Yeah, this is your community, including your two, the mother of your children. Were these friends or were these friends?
These were friends, and then people I felt some
Friends.
of
Could be
which I
friends,
felt
friends.
that it was a one-way track per se. That I felt that it could potentially be a problem.
For you though, for you were the one-way track.
No, them to him.
Yeah, them to me.
That's even that's
Yeah, yeah, mhm.
And he kept them around. Yeah, I know, right?
that's
Continue to
worse.
say.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
and some, well, very few was always like a back of the head thought, but wasn't anything I was going to pursue. So yeah, I had to close.
Yeah, but being around them.
Oh, those are ones that are gone now.
Yeah,
the one-way
from-
track ones.
From
Okay,
yeah,
you close those chapters. Those are the chapters you say, okay. I'll close
So
those chapters.
does that mean that there's no more 13 and there's a lower number, or does it mean that there were more than 13 in the beginning and you cut some off?
Oh, there was more than 13 in the
And
beginning.
these
I
are all
got-
females?
Yeah,
Why are you getting so close to so many females? Or
I
so
just-
many people in general?
that's just my relationship with females is much better than dudes. Like in high school and college, I don't know. I've always been more able to get along with females, and then that always caused an issue with dudes because the dudes are usually the boyfriends and end up having an issue with me, and I'm not doing anything but just being a friend. So yeah, and it's carried on up until recently. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah,
Because it can't be.
Because for
like
me,
that.
I have female friends that I was like, especially in college, that I was super close to. That was other than her, but even up until now, and they got an understanding early. Like as much as we talked during college, like once we were married, all that stuff was done,
Yeah.
and it was never no other thoughts like past friendship. We were just like super tight.
Yeah.
So now, once we established our like marriage, then conversations went more and more every week and every year, all the way to a
Got less and
minimum,
less.
to where I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still like super.
Is that what's happening?
So
Sorry to cut
for-
you off.
Like for me, I've always
Sorry.
I've always been a late bloomer. So I don't know, like in every aspect of life, I've been a late bloomer, like every facet of life. So with me, I never took a relationship serious until I was like 24. And that was where I had the first heartbreak, and that led me to try to understand relationships more, even though I wasn't gonna pursue one.
You didn't answer my question.
What was your question?
My question was, of the 13 of the group where you're really, really super close tight, but there's no one tracker in the back of your head, are your conversations with them dwindling down because now you're headed into matrimony?
Yeah.
And that's just...
Of course.
Are they?
Yeah.
You sure?
Besides the ones that I already talked to now, they're always.
Which is who? Because besides the one who we had a conversation with when we went to go pick.
There's Sunshine, there's Danica, and then there's Kales. Those
Yeah,
are the
see,
three.
those two.
But it's not.
I don't know you're talking to them still.
It's not every day though.
It's less.
Yeah, it's less. But those three are more than the others. A lot more than the others. Yeah.
Is it an issue? Like, though, like, him still having, like, conversations or still being, like, having conversations with
like
those
he said,
main three or the others?
Sunshine, I've met, I know, I'm cool with it. She and I talk too, so I'm okay with that. Danica, I've met, she's cool, I'm okay. Kels, I know of.
Yeah, you haven't met her yet. You've seen her on FaceTime. You talk to each other.
Hi! That's not a talk, that's saying hi.
So are these people, like, are they, like, important to you in your life, or?
Yes.
So why hasn't she met?
So she's met Danica. She's met Sunshine. Kel, she lives in Dallas, and so when we go to Texas, it's Austin or Houston, and we don't fly to Dallas, and she won't come. She doesn't drive down because her job doesn't allow it. So yeah, it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, right.
Well, they know that you guys are getting married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the mothers, that's a different story. That took a very long time before they found out.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Yeah. One of them,
I've known Yvonne's mom.
Oh, yeah. But I didn't have to say anything, but then I didn't verbalize it either up until
Wait, what?
not too long ago.
So he didn't say anything to Yvonne's mom about us getting married. Basically, she found out. She saw the ring and she's intelligent, so she found out. So he's saying he didn't
And
actually.
she pre-approved. She pre-approved too, which
Let's
is
not go there.
which is funny.
matter.
No,
Thank
we
you.
think it's funny though. We think it's funny.
Oh.
It's like, I like her. I approve
kind
of
of
her.
irritating.
What? Okay.
But he was charged to actively verbalize to both of them that this is what's happening, rather than just kind of like letting it kind of laissez-faire go by.
Yeah, Prince's mom wasn't until about a month ago.
You guys got engaged.
You said what? You said what?
It's like y'all got engaged in August.
Right.
February.
My thoughts exactly.
Have you ever watched any cartoons when people are scared and their knees get to knocking? That was me every time.
Why?
Why is the
Right.
question?
To tell Prince's mom,
Why is the question?
because of the distance, it's 1,623 miles I'm apart from him when he's with his mom. And I didn't know, I feared how she would react would prevent me to spend time with him. So that was the question on why we didn't have our official second marriage counseling session, because that just entails that the mothers of the children, the Mocs, are actually number one and not her.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
So that was an issue
There's been a lot of
that had to
working.
be rectified.
Well, I just hope it's being worked on.
Oh, it was. It is.
Has been, it's past tense.
Yeah. We're at a safe place right now, is what I would say. Because,
And then when I finally told her, she was like, "Oh, I like her." So it's just this whole
It doesn't
time.
matter though.
didn't understand that.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter if she likes her.
I'm just from me,
Oh,
the
okay.
fear.
Like,
The whole fear, like I said, put a wall of fear up. You also block out happiness. So that wall is high and it's a thick wall.
That wall was
it was
past
high.
tense.
Yeah, it was high.
Okay.
And pretty thick.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But that wall is that wall
Gone. Extinguished.
It's gone.
Like the walls of Jericho.
Mm-hmm. The trumpets, they went round and round. Yeah, that wall is gone. The demon comes out every now and then, but
Why?
I got it in check.
Why?
Because I feel like
out my life.
you have it in check, or she has it in check. Because last time on your other podcast, can't remember what episode it was, but you said that the girl, your baby mama, one of your baby mamas had it in check. But you just said I have it in check. She doesn't have it in check. Just a question.
what?
So in your other episode, you said that when you guys were doing like a background check, and then she asked you about the demon, you said that she had the baby mama had it in check.
Mach 2.
Yeah, Mach 2 had it in check.
Right.
That I probably gave too much credit because we weren't around each other that much. So it was more like we're in a relationship, but it was like every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks on the weekend we would see each other or any break. So because there's so much distance and not seeing each other as much, when we were together, it was more emotions, mental, everything was focused on the time that we're sharing, not because it wasn't consistently us being around each other. So there was no possibility for the demon to wake up and really, because it was only a weekend glimmer of happiness, and then it's back to regular life.
So it's
well,
like
with her, she's here consistently every day, and I just feel it coming over me, and it's just like,
so how do you kind of.
How do you have that in check?
Yeah.
How do you keep the demon away?
Yeah, when you feel that demon coming, what do you do to?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just tell myself that I'm my future, my past is not going to predict or control my future, and that I'm deserving of happiness, and focus on the times that we have and share together, that it's okay. And then there's a lot of self-talk to myself and then to God, that it's okay.
That's good.
But it is going to be, one of the comments was kill that demon, which it does need to be killed, but I think that something's going to take time because it's been a part of me for so long, and it's been a part of me longer than just like college, high school. It goes back to when I was a kid. So it's been a part of me for a long time. It's just been slowly developing through everything I went through in the home, decisions I made out in life, relationships, marriages, what I've seen, all of that stuff. So it's been with me, and it wasn't until 2014, 15 when I allowed it to just like, you know what, take the wheel. And that's led me into God is good. I'm just gonna say that. That was a whole lot of chapters, but yeah, I just let it just do its thing.
Okay.
It's good to know.
Another question.
No more questions. Let her answer.
Power and testimony.
Right? There you go. You get 2 for 1.
Right.
What about that?
Right.
What about that?
Right.
No, what's your
That's
question?
funny. No, I'll let you go. Yeah, you guys is
thing. We're here to.
No, come on.
Yeah, but this is the whole purpose, to have a dialogue around this.
Go ahead.
Because I believe that continuously talking, especially about this particular topic, is going to help him more rather than him keeping it to himself. And although what you're doing is good, but when you share it, you have other people to help reinforce what you're doing. So please.
Okay.
Take advantage, because you guys have tried to get it out of me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
She's like, well,
So
since
you
you
have
said
to
that,
wait
let's
just to hear all this, you know?
It's a struggle.
My question was, so how do you take that demon over into marriage? Because, before you get married, you want to make sure you work on the things that you need to work on before you get married so you don't carry those same things and issues over into your marriage. But since I know you're saying it's like a process and it will take a little bit longer, so how will you take that over into marriage? Because now you're not dating anymore. You're no longer fiance. You guys now you're married and you're happy like this. You guys are one, under God. So now it's like now you're married and you still have this. You still have this demon, yet you're married and you're happy and you're gonna get happier and happier. But for you, the happier that you are, the more this demon wants to come out. So how will you take that, cross that over, or deal with that in your marriage?
Being proactive with spending time with family and doing stuff like we're doing now, the podcast, it keeps my mind and my spirit and emotions busy, and I don't focus on it as much. But when it does come up, again, I go back to the self-talk that it's okay. I have 3 kids I'm responsible for raising, and I don't need it to, touch on their spirits. I don't want that to happen. Have them carry a burden that they don't need to carry like I did with my parents and everything else that I put people through, that I just, add that onto my back that I have to carry, just my bag of shame. No, they don't need to endure any of that. So those are the things that I focus on.
So what I'm hearing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, same with you, is that your plan is to bury it until it gets so strong it busts through everything you're burying it with, and then you're going to do your self-talk.
No, I call it a slow death.
No, I mean,
did you?
I agree with you in the sense that, like, when you were saying it, I was saying the same thing, because it comes to a point of, like, you have to figure out what you're gonna do other than, like, if you don't have the podcast, if you don't have whatever else is going on that's making it suppress and not come out, you have to act as if those things aren't there. So you have to kind of check it without those things. Because if you use these as a crutch to suppress it, it's only going to get worse later.
Well, I mean, my favorite character is Wolverine, but I'll use Iron Man. Iron Man's problem is that he felt and needed Iron Man to be a part of him up until a point where he knew that it's not going to control me anymore. And that was that video where he took it out of his chest, and it's like, I'm done with it. So I think with him, it took time to get to that point, and then he was with Pepper and happy ever after that. So I think that's the same. I feel I'm going through the same thing also. It's not so much suppressing, it's just over time doing the things that are necessary to get rid of it. And it's not as simple as just cutting the umbilical cord.
Right, but I know you have.
Well, I was gonna say, I kind of understand what you're saying. My only thing is that when it comes to when it comes to situations like this where there's an emotional, just FYI, I'm going nurse here, but an emotional and psychological tie, taking care of whatever it is when it gets really bad isn't going to help you get to a point where you can separate yourself from whatever it is. It's constantly doing those affirmations. So for people who have any type of disorder, any type of addiction, it's constantly telling myself, I don't need this. I am enough. I am good the way I am. I am beautiful. I am whatever it is that they need for whatever it is that they're going through. So for you, I deserve to be happy. And you say that every day, because just saying it when you're like, oh, I'm super happy, and the demon's like, yeah, I need to come out and stamp this out. Saying it that one time might get you through that one time, but you're gonna have to do that every day for the rest of your life. But you say it every day. You live it every day. You believe it. When you believe it, that's the point where just like Iron Man, you'll be able to be like, you know what, I'm good. And you can turn away from that and it's not going to be a problem. But that's an everyday thing you have to do.
Yeah, it's just like a smoker. That takes time.
Right, but that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about, I'm going to bombard myself with so much other stuff that I can't feel that. And then when I do feel that, because it's just so overwhelming, then I'm going to tell myself, I deserve happiness.
Maybe I didn't explain myself correctly, but it's just like a smoker's thing. It takes time.
Well,
It
Up
does
until
take
the
time.
body accepts the fact that it no longer needs the nicotine or whatever is in it.
Yes, it-
Okay, well, it doesn't need the nicotine anymore. My body can actually function without it. I'm good. It's the same thing.
Well, what I would say is like, because if you use the Iron Man thing, like in anybody else in life, not even just using the character, but just think about like we all as people adapt and we learn from other people's situations. So that's part of the reason why we do our podcast, because you talk about it, other people will see, oh, they go through it too. So let's learn from that so that we don't have to go through it the same as they did, right?
Yeah.
So for you, I would say it would be the same, because yeah, it took Iron Man a lot and he did have to go through, based on the story, he bombarded himself in his work because he didn't, he had these other feelings that were trying to come over him and he didn't want to do it. So he suppressed it. He had anxiety from it, different things like that. Yeah, it takes time, but the fact that you're saying right here, right now, that you know what it is and you know that you're bearing yourself, it doesn't have to take as much time as you would think it would. So for other people, it could take years for them to do it. But you can say to yourself, just like she's saying with the affirmations and everything like that, you can say to yourself, I'm not going to take 5 years. It's not going to take me 10
Right.
years to get out of this. I'm going to make sure that I get out of it as soon as I can. And I'm going to make sure I take the necessary steps each and every day to make sure that it doesn't take me 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It maybe take me 3 years to get rid of it. Maybe take me a year. Let me have some pride, and let's give me 6 months to really work on it and see where I'm at. So you have the ability to change it. You don't have it. It might take time for smokers, but at the end of the day, each smoker that quit smoking, everybody's not
different.
Exactly. Everybody doesn't have the same time frame that they can
Right.
stop smoking cigarettes. So
And it's
And that's
known and
why I
understood
said
it's going to take time.
That's why I said. That's what I said at the beginning. Jesus, that I tell myself every day that I'm worthy of happiness, and I talk to God. That's one of the first
I'm
things
sorry.
I said.
I understood it that when you feel.
The Lord said you
Then you
need to
say
tell
that.
me that so everybody else can.
I suppose so. I suppose so. But it's understood that it's going to take time.
right.
You just have to make sure that you're doing the steps every day
Yeah, because
for it to happen.
I don't need hair follicles falling out again. So that's one thing that's just not going to happen.
Right.
I know what you mean.
Because I like long hair. And I don't want you feeling that way.
Ugh. That
I
just,
want our relationship to be in the land of candy. Just sweet and happy. So
sometimes you're
Candyland.
so weird.
I'm going to be me. 100%.
Sorry. I just.
On the hot seat.
What was that?
Well, I could have said love and happiness, but I can't sing. I'm not going to butcher the Al Green song.
Oh, I mean, Candyland is one of my favorite games as a child, but that. So, anyways, what I
Future
was.
sponsorship, you never know.
The next thing I was going to say, because he always says he's always the one with the problems, it's always the issues, it's always about him. So there was a moment before QFLO actually became where the idea was presented to me and I was like, no. I didn't think about it. I didn't have to think about it. It was just no, not doing that ever.
I thought it would be good for me.
And then he, okay. And he's like, yeah, but if we do this and it, no. Like, I was a real not so nice person. I didn't consider anything of what he was saying. I was just, no, stop talking. And didn't listen, which was really bad. And so it got to the point where, was this on the Love Hour? They talked about screaming in silence, where we would be good, but when like he'd be doing stuff for his other podcast and everything, and like I could see he's like feverishly working and getting all excited, and it's like, well, with QFLO, it's like I'm looking at him, I don't say anything, but he knows I'm just screaming at him, I said no, and then I can tell he's looking at me like, but we should do it. So like we're just like so it got to the point where there was one night, I don't know, it was one of those things where it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. I think he like, I don't like doors and cabinets being open. I think he had like the pantry thing open, and I was done. I was like, you know what? Like I was done, and somehow that led to QFLO. I don't know how, but I remember
because that's what it was about in the beginning. So
I know, but like normally most transition, like it literally was like, and this wasn't open, and I don't want to do QFLO. Like there was no transition. Yeah. It just went straight there.
That shows how much you felt about
it. It made no kind of sense. And I
was crushed.
I know. And I will never, like I felt, to see his response, I felt so bad. And I will never forget what he told me. And I might cry, because the look on his face was just, I cannot believe, like I've been known to break people down with my words, but never in a million years would I ever try with him. And to know that I did that, just but he said, why can't you support me the way I need to be supported? And that just, I had no words, and I always have words, but I had no words, and I just kind of looked at him like like I didn't know what to say, what to do. I think he was on the couch, and I just like went to the room like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And because like I said, he always says it's always like he doesn't always do something. I am not perfect, I am human as well. And I think at that point I brought it to my ladies, my crew ladies, and I was like, look, you guys, he is on about this, and I'm like, no. I was like, but it's like, it was, well, why don't you want to do it? And I'm like, my life is not supposed to be for everybody. It's supposed to be for me and whoever I want to live it with. And like there was talks and conversations, and then I had to pray, because like there was no communication of any kind at all after that. There was just, he was here, I was here, and it was like this the whole time. And so I think after that, it was like, okay, so like explain to me exactly what it is you want with living with QFLO. I don't think we had the actual name, but it was like going to be the QFLO thing, because that was our nickname together. And so, we had conversations. It's like, okay, we'll do it, just not now. And I think that like that was the transition of like moving and stuff. Yeah. So it's like there's too much happening, not now. And so it was like, okay, in October, no, not then. That's my birthday month. I was coming up with all sorts of excuses. And so eventually it was like, that might be kind of cool. So it's like, okay, how about, it's going to be a new year, our new transition, being married, let's do it in the new year. But like I said, I will never forget, like, those words. Oh my gosh, his face, the whole situation. I think all the lights blew out in the apartment. It was really bad. It was really bad. But like, why can't you support me in the way I need you to?
It's a silent cry for help.
That's some good
From
words.
you?
Yeah.
From me, yeah. It was a silent cry for help.
And I felt that. Very seriously.
And that eventually led to the hair falling out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her hair falling out?
Mm-hmm. Because I ended up, even when she said it, I ended up not listening and created the website and the YouTube and the Facebook. Like nothing was up there, but I made it happen.
Yeah, and then I think
that was in August, I think, or September. I had posted.
That was in September.
Yeah, I had posted the first picture of us from the cruise because I just needed to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, and so.
And that kind of led into another.
Right.
Spiff.
I
said, I'm like, well, it'll be good to get some traffic now, so when we do the videos, then people will. But no.
Like, but we had a plan. Why I wanted to. That's not how it works.
And you had a plan. And I had a plan. We didn't have a plan.
Yeah, like we didn't have a plan.
You two should have a plan
Right.
and supported each other
Right.
and what both of you wanted at the time, and then come to an agreement on what it is you guys could do together.
Yeah,
Yep.
so support. It's important. It's needed. And apparently it's all about communication.
Pretty much.
No.
There you
Pretty
go.
much, yeah.
So it's time to turn up the heat. This is
10 minutes.
probably gonna be the first time we've done this. We didn't have any issues before, but this is called the hot seat, and this is where we bring up any current marriage issues that we're dealing with, and we share it with you, but more importantly with our guests, so we can get feedback on different creative ways we can work through it, or we end up resolving it right here. And our guests also have the option of reciprocating that, because we want to show, Christian couples working through different situations. It's not always peaches and cream.
Right.
There are some times in which it's not.
It's just not greatness. All right, so hot seat topic.
You got it.
No.
I don't know what it is.
You
What?
thought of it. How do you not know what it is?
You're the one that said, just go ahead and do it.
So our hot seat topic is basically about
Our
communication.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So oddly enough, that's what we're all about. Doesn't necessarily mean we're perfect at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes our ears may hear, but our brains do not listen.
Our communication is good. It's just sometimes it doesn't come out the right way.
Yes. So
It comes out, it's just something unfiltered at times.
So I come from a blunt family, and I don't mind people being blunt in whatever it is that they need to say. Because sometimes, and I'll tell people, like, I don't know any other way to say this except, and I'll tell them, like, if there was another way and I knew it, I would do it. But sometimes you just don't have other words. And so I'm okay with bluntness. However, when speaking to people, yes, it was needed. When speaking when speaking to people, it's not just your words, but the tone that you use that conveys the actual entirety of the message. And sometimes Floydell's tone is, yes, I call it his business tone. To me, it's less than satisfactory. It's not endearing, it's not loving, it's not kind, it's not soft, it's business. I don't know whose business, but it's business. And so recently it's been like a string of this tone in like conversation, and I keep telling him, like, if you know what I mean. I know I think I know what you mean. But there's another way you could say that so we don't end up in an argument. Well, that's how I wanted to say it. But that doesn't help the situation as I'm counting to 10 in my head. Because I can sometimes have a temper and be hot-headed and just go to 60 that fast. So when we were at the Clarks, was that Sunday?
This past Sunday?
Yeah. When we were at the Clarks, the ladies had a discussion. We came out, and Floydell noticed a charge. Money. He's Mr. Money. So he noticed this charge. And then he asked me about it. And I told him, like, yeah, that was me. And then he continued on, like, well, my account has been hacked or something, and points have been used. And then, like, okay, but I told you it was me. Yeah, well, next time, like, attitude, communication. And then he goes back to doing his paper. And I took a deep breath, and I kind of looked away, and
everybody else looked away too.
Yeah, they did. And so that tone, what are we gonna do about that tone? That tone.
Well,
Any-
can I? No.
Well,
do you have something to say?
Yes, and then let's hear from them.
Excuse me. Yes.
We got to get our stuff out, and then we're going to defer to some more seasoned individuals, just like they do on First Take. So, from my standpoint, I saw the email, and I saw the amount, and our credit card had been hacked once before, and then furthermore, the number didn't match my number, and I don't know what your number is. And I'm like, and my points have been used before and on Domino's, so I don't know what the heck is going on. And so I'm like, check your what did I say? Check the card, check the account, check American Express. Is there a transaction on there? Yeah, for $147.50. And you just sitting there. Who did it?
Actually, I just said yeah.
Oh, I did that. What?
I mean, if I wasn't worried, because you know it's my card, and I'm like, yeah, it's there.
No, I was. No, you gotta tell me this stuff. Communication, and that's exactly what happened. And it stems from me learning to express my emotions and it being okay to be emotional. Background. Keep your emotions in check. Men respond reasonably and logically. They don't respond off of emotions. So I'm 28 now. So I'm now learning that it's okay to be emotional. So like I said, late bloomer. I'm late bloomer in every aspect of my life. So for me, it's terrible, but it's equivalent to a child like throwing a quick mini tantrum. Because I'm not accustomed to expressing myself, because it's always been push it aside, be a man, you don't do that. But yeah, so that was me just
he did on Sunday.
Responding quick and emotional to it rather than just accepting the fact that you said, yeah, that's me. And me being, oh, okay, we can talk about that later. Because I've always, even with Second Baptist, you witness, people be saying stuff and I just be looking. You ain't got nothing to say? And then I'll probably respond the next day by text or the next time I see everybody, once I get my thoughts and stuff gathered.
Calm, level-headed.
Yeah, but now that it's okay to be emotional, now I'm just like, sometimes I'm quick to just respond with whatever is on my mind. And that's not very good.
Okay. Did you see the transaction when you saw it? Did you see what it was for, or where it was going to, or?
Yeah, it was the movies.
Okay, so you knew what was coming out. I thought you was gonna be like, oh.
Get them.
So you saw that what the transaction was for.
Tread lightly, because I still don't know what's supposed to be happening. So
What do you mean tread lightly?
She's not gonna say nothing. Keep going.
What do you mean?
she got what I was telling. I said tread lightly because I don't know what's supposed
He
to be
doesn't
happening.
want you to give out too much.
Oh, I know. I mean, he already said
Right,
what that was. You didn't know that.
Yeah,
did
but
you?
when you asked, right, I didn't know that.
It's
So
fine.
when you asked the credit card transaction, I didn't want to know that.
Oh, it's
I
fine.
didn't wanna
Well, I
know
mean,
that.
he said he pretty much.
He never said that.
Yeah, he did.
Until just now. I didn't hear
Oh.
it.
No, all I said was I asked him if he knew what the transaction was
yeah,
for.
he said what it was for.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know that. Now I know that that's part of whatever.
Oh, well,
happening.
hey.
I think it's all ruined anyways.
No, it's not, because I don't know. Y'all not gonna ruin it for me.
Cover your ears. Cover your ears.
I don't even know what the movie is. I just saw movie tickets purchased.
Okay.
I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. No, I was just asking that because, like, if you seeing what the transaction was for, and she said, "Oh, that's me," then you kind of know, okay, what it's for. But I know he didn't know.
So I can say in his defense,
what's going on.
Yeah, I didn't say that was me. He asked, "Did you is there a transaction on there?" And I look, and I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh.
So then he's like, "Was that you?" And I'm like, "Yes." Now, as he said, the card has been what'd you call it?
It's been
It's been
fraudulent
used.
activity before, and
Right.
for the movies. before, and with Domino's. So it's just like somebody
Not
went on the
that
dinner and the movies on me.
But yeah, so like it has been
It's good.
okay. It has been used before, but because he also handles finances for me personally, it's like, hey, it's on there. What am I supposed to do? Like, there's like, I didn't do this. Like, so if I looked at it and I'm like, yeah,
That was me.
Right.
we're
You
good.
know, yeah.
But if I looked at it like, what is that? Did you do that? What are we doing? Then, so
Yeah.
I thought that made sense. Apparently it did not
Got it. Okay.
make sense that way. Because I just like, yeah, because the idea, as Darnell said, surprise. So I can't be like, yeah, so this is our plan. No.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Get
End
it.
of story.
I get it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Because that was I don't think that was the question should be, or the thing that should be said is, I'll move up so y'all don't have to look behind her. Because her head is big, so I have to move.
I know it's big. I know it's big.
But in terms of the talking, like the issue isn't you being upset about a charge or want to know what's going on with the account. To me, being in there that day, it was like the issue is that's a private conversation, and now, and I can't speak for anybody, but I've done that to her before, and she felt belittled because we talked about I was talking about a chart, or it wasn't even really about a chart. I'll talk about what it was for my birthday. We went out to Benihana's. And I made sure that everything was paid for, and the lady gave me change. I gave her cash, she gave me change. And I was like, you want this? I usually, whenever I pay with cash, if I get change, I usually give it to her. At that time, she wasn't working like that, and then whatever money I had extra, I would give it to her.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, baby, you want this? And she was like, no, I'm good. And I was like, nah, blah, blah. And then we started going back and forth jokingly to me. But to her, the joke went a little too far because I was like, nah, you need it more than I do, blah, blah, blah. Just take it. You good.
Oh.
And then I was like, okay, well, don't take it. I don't got to give you no more money. And then that was a joking matter because we joke like that. However, when we got in the car, it was a different conversation. It was like, no, like that was in front of everybody. You said that I needed more than you. That made me feel XYZ.
Yeah.
So in that situation where y'all were with us per se, like it's kind of okay because it's the crew, but it's kind of not okay because it's the crew. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys should be able
They
to
want to develop that habit amongst.
Well, not even the habit. You guys should be able to talk openly in front of us about issues. But when it's something like that, even whatever it was going to be or whatever the charge was for, I feel like that's a conversation that probably could have been had another way, because her saying, obviously you didn't know at that time because now you're knowing now because she said yeah. When she said yeah like that, you should have automatically knew it was for something that you know about, so let me just drop it.
Especially for that amount.
Yeah, especially for that amount. However, you didn't know at the time. But me, just for me, I would say in that type of situation, if she said yeah like that, or even if I really wanted to have a conversation about it, either y'all can exclude yourself and talk in another room or outside, or you could just be like, okay, in your tone of voice, like in your type of manner, like, okay, I don't know what you're trying to say, but we're going to talk about it later. And then y'all talk about it amongst yourselves at home. So now nobody's feelings are hurt, regardless of if what's being said is not hurtful or not. You don't know how she's going to take it. Yeah. So I would say, like, we could talk about it later, or we could talk about it now, but we could just go somewhere else. Gotcha. So that whatever I say out of anger, because you've been hacked before, because somebody used your point before, it's going to come out aggressively, because it's like, dang, I got to go through this. Whatever I went through last time, I got to do it again. Yeah. So now you don't want to say whatever you're going to say in anger, because you don't know. It could, whatever you could have said, it could have started a fight, and it could have been a whole different situation. It didn't, which is good. But I'm talking about for future. You might not want to do that because, like I said, the only reason why I'm saying this is because we've been there before. I've said things to her in front of people, And again, the way our relationship is, we joke about everything.
Right.
And we're playful about everything, even personal things. But there has come a time where it's gone too far, more so from me to her. Never really from her to me. So I've had to learn, as we've grown, we play a lot, but I've learned her and learned what to say and what not to say that's appropriate in front of other people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's always the men.
Pretty much.
We actually did
that's why
have
I
a
was
conversation.
young. That's why I was like communication, because it's like we just talked about that and transactions, and yes, hopefully we can get sponsored. Purchasing the purple mattress, waiting for it to come in. It's just like another one.
Right.
It's just have you seen Transformers?
Yeah.
And you were 3,000. Yeah, the thing was 4,000. So it's just like,
yeah.
come on now.
Right.
So it's just
So we
I got you. I gotta do better.
We actually did have another conversation, because one, I completely hear what you say. Like, I didn't appreciate the fact that it was in front of everybody.
Right.
Just because you could tell the atmosphere shifted at that point.
Right.
So I didn't
I actually
appreciate.
did the.
What's going on today?
I saw it, but it's just like I was in my emotions and then getting back to what I was doing.
So I didn't appreciate that, but like I said, really, it's been a string, like consecutive days where this tone is used, and it's like, sir,
Right.
sir.
Yeah.
Wait, that wasn't the second.
Yeah, that's something that we've had issues with as well. Is like, and that's a big thing as well, to what that can cause a lot of arguments that can be deferred, is not so much of what you say, but how you say it. Because you can say something in a certain way, in a certain tone, and then you can end up just talking about it, and it's just fine, you're done. But as soon as you say it in a certain tone and how you say it, it just makes makes something so small so much bigger.
Right.
And so I think that's something that we've had to work on. That's something that we still work on sometimes. And sometimes it's just an instant reaction. Our initial reaction is to say it in a certain tone or a certain way. And sometimes that's something I need to work on, because I'll respond. It may sound like it's me having an attitude or being like smart, but it's not. It's just
Your response.
my response. But that's how he took it.
Right.
I didn't mean it that way, but he took it that way. And so I have to understand when he says, like, why are you talking to me like that, or why are you saying that way? I have to recognize, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it this way.
Right.
I was saying this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way.
And so we've had those too, because I do exercise my mother tone often. Often. And I mean, it's a lot better. I mean, I don't think it happens that much now, but especially in the beginning, like it's a transition. I exercise that often, and so he would, tell me, and I sometimes, like you said, I would do it and I wouldn't mean to, and then he'll say, like, why are you doing it? And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, that was not my intent. I didn't mean to say it that way. Like, what I said, I meant that, but not in that tone. It wasn't anything like that. And so, like, then that's understood. The only thing with this tone is that it's like, but this is it.
Right. What I was gonna say was, like, to kind of piggyback what she said, like, we have had to work on that a lot. But it's more so, from my perspective, it's more so me, because hers is usually, it's usually a response to something I said, even though what I said might not have been aggressive. To me, she'll respond aggressive, and then when she responds aggressive, it'll make me get to my aggressive voice.
Got it.
Right? And then for me, the reason why I said it's more times me is because, like, lately, or I would say, like, over a good span of time, we kind of have the same thing, to where there's a string of weeks or days where I'm talking aggressive at her. Or I would even say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I would even say, like, my tone is belittling her. Like, make it condescending her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Being condescending.
Right.
Like, making her feel that she's less than.
Right.
Based on what I'm saying to her and how I'm saying it.
Yeah.
So she's addressed it with me a few times, and it got really noticeable when we would have our godkids over, and Tyshawn will be like, "Why y'all talking like that?" Or why
Why
you
y'all talking to each other?
yeah,
like
why y'all
that?
talking to each other
Or
like
he said,
that?
why you talking to Dominique like that?
Right.
Yeah. And it'll be.
I'll be like, "What you talking about?" And he be like, "You talking like you mad at her, and she didn't even like." Okay, example, we were going to another church, and Tyshawn was in the car with her, and I was on speakerphone, and she asked me, what did I want to eat? And I was like, it doesn't matter, babe, just give me whatever. Or she asked me, did I want fries or something like that? And I was like, nah. Yeah, I said no. So then, I don't know whatever happened when she came back, we got in the car together. She didn't get me anything. But I said I didn't want anything, but I don't know why it was dumb. It was definitely dumb, but when I got in the car,
I was like, what is going on?
When I got in the car, it was like for whatever reason, I got hungry after the time.
Yeah.
So then I got in the car, the food was smelling good, and I was like, yo, you didn't like, babe, you didn't get that eat. So when she said, and then she was like, no, you said you didn't want anything, and I was like, yo, I'm hungry, like, why didn't you get me something? You could have stopped and got me something. And Tyshawn was just like, you said you didn't want anything. Like, he responded for her.
Right.
So once that happened, and it happened a couple times, I was like, yo, I need to chill.
Yeah.
Like, because, but I think, and I want to save y'all from this in the future. You guys will get to a place to where y'all get on each other's nerves. Like, you guys are going to be around each other so much to where you're going to be like, yo, where you want to go to your mama's house this weekend, or you want to go
get to
right?
Get
See, if y'all already there, right? If y'all already there, it's only gonna get bigger. I'm not gonna say worse because it's not a bad thing. It's just gonna because you guys are around each other so much. So just when I get to that place, that's when that tone kind of comes out. Where I'm like, yo. Go hang out with your mama for the weekend. Like I want to, you know what I mean? So
I need to miss you.
Right.
Well, that's kind of where we are. That's why I said like get to, because I don't know if you remember, but something happened again. We were like leaving the Clarks, and I was like, "Oh, he irritates my life," and you're like, "It's only going to continue."
Right.
I could tell in the way you said it, like he is not kidding.
Yeah.
He is serious right now.
I was
dead serious saying that. Yeah.
And like right now, there has been like I don't think since the move. Like there has been this much time where we've just been around each other.
Yeah.
And
he talking about 91 years.
I know.
I'm just saying.
So I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but like there was like in our pre-marriage counseling, one of the tips was to tell each other I love you like every day.
Yeah.
And so I told him, he's like I love you. I'm like I love you too. I don't like you right now, but I love you.
You said that?
Yeah, I said
that.
And I said you like me too, because the only way you get to love, you gotta have liking.
No,
and I was like, no, love is a choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I disagree.
So I haven't loved him. I'm like,
she had to like you in the beginning,
And
to start to love you. But at the point where y'all at, well, you can always fall back on the like part in friendship,
Right?
Because the like comes from the friendship,
Right?
And then you fall in love after that. But if y'all are in love and then you get to a point where you don't like him at all anymore, then that's when y'all have a problem.
Yeah, no.
But for any given moment, you cannot like each other.
Yes.
We cannot be cool on good terms. So, and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I would say the tone comes from. So that might be could be why, but I don't know. I can't speak for him, but
it absolutely
for me,
could be.
it for sure gets like that when I'm irritated with being around, or like if she wants to do stuff and I just want to like when we're on separate pages, that's when that tends to come out.
When you just want to be at home and relax.
Yeah. And not do anything. No, I agree with you, because there's been times where I was talking to my boy, and we were talking about like he was going through something in his marriage similar, and I was just like, yo, like, and she's probably hearing this for the first time, but like she wanted to go on a date. I did not want to go anywhere. I was good with staying home, and I didn't want to go, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to. I know how I get if I go somewhere and I don't want to be there. So I was like, okay, let me check myself. Let me go try to enjoy this time because it's more, at this point, it's really more for her.
Yeah.
She doesn't know I'm feeling like this, but I don't need to present myself as if I don't want to be here because that's only going to make her feel terrible.
Yeah.
So
and everybody else is gonna feel it.
Exactly, and then now everybody's gonna see it in our section that there's something going on with them.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I can get through this. And I just didn't want to do nothing. It was just because I was tired. I just didn't feel like it. But she really wanted to go on a date, and I was like, I'm not gonna take this from her. You know what I mean? That her feelings came before mine in that sense. So I was like, we'll go. And we ended up having a good time. Man, I enjoyed the food. I enjoyed her company. But in the beginning, I didn't want to go.
Gotcha.
So sometimes, part of the reason why I didn't want to go is more because of that time frame when I was like, we need to be apart from each other for just a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was like,
Wait, what's the name?
Together apart.
Yeah.
Don't be mad because I got it.
But it's odd because sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I would say I think because you did bring up love, and for me, all the things that I've been learning when I decided to fall into love and get to understand it, and then with the pre-marriage counseling, that with love comes with sacrifice, but in order for someone to be blessed, someone had to sacrifice, and I think that's a great example of what love really is. That you're willing to take yourself, and your emotions away from it to ensure that your wife is happy. Because then all she's going to do is just reciprocate that back to you when there's another time when she might be upset with you, but you want to,
it's give and
have a
take.
QT time.
It's give and take. It's not tit for tat.
Yeah.
Not
eye for eye.
Right. Not eye for eye, tit for tat. It's give and take. It's.
Right.
I always say, like, your woman, the person that you're with is gonna. Well, for me, the male, you have to show your spouse that she's a part of it. And when she feels like she's a part of it, she knows that you're gonna include her in everything, then that's when she's gonna be like, I don't mind following and I don't mind submitting because they feel like they're a part of it. It's the same thing with sports, it's the same thing with anything in life, or if you're a manager at work, your team is not gonna sacrifice for you if they don't feel like they're a part of the team. Gotcha. If they feel like they're just another person or another number, then they're like, all right, whatever. I'm not gonna do overtime for you. I'm not gonna do extra for you. And it's the same thing in your marriage, to where if I make sure that if I'm making a decision on anything and I make sure it's 100% that she knows the decision that I'm trying to make.
Gotcha.
So now in anything, she'll be like, he supports me. He makes sure that I know about everything that's going on. So whatever you want to do, babe, I'll follow right behind you and do it. I trust you because she's included and she knows she's included. But if I'm like, no, we're gonna do this because I said we're gonna do it, and I feel like this is best for the family, and you don't have any say so, and she's gonna get to a point where she's like, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to do, and then now you're just gonna be dragging her along. Gotcha. And she's gonna be a touch on.
So what you're pretty much saying with that analogy, going back to the manager thing, when they don't feel that way, or when the wife doesn't feel that way, there are other people around that's watching. So the customers don't feel that way. The children pick up on that, and then you can start, deteriorating cycle when it comes to relationships.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
Because you guys have little kids around that are watching you guys, and then that's going to reflect on how they see relationships and how they need to grow up and how they treat their his wife,
right?
His wife and their husbands, how they should treat them. So if they see that in their household, then that would just make it a lot easier for them whenever time comes for them.
That
One
is
more thing, just to
talked about.
Rewind back just a little bit further when you said as far as getting on each other's nerves or annoying each other.
Yeah.
I got a glimpse of that. If you remember when you said it's gonna be all right, bro. Before we got engaged, I was over at your house and we were just going at it. And I remember I told you
us.
Yes, and I went over to their house and I was like,
oh,
bro, I don't know about this. She tripping. She getting on my nerves.
I know you're talking about January, the beginning of the year.
No.
No.
This was before that. This was
Oh.
before the cruise.
Yeah, it was before the cruise.
Yeah, this is not this January.
Oh.
Last January.
Oh, it could have been. I don't know.
Yeah, it was in between there, and
Okay,
I was
I know
just
what you're
like,
talking about.
I don't think I can do this anymore. Nah, bro, it's good. It's gonna be okay. It's just a rough patch.
Yeah, I remember.
Right. That's gonna.
That's a nice preview because that was a preview. This is every day now.
No, this is still a preview.
That-
This is still a preview of what's to come.
Yeah,
Just letting you know.
made it
Just being
very
honest.
edgy. I mean, but the thing is, it's like that's in relationships, that's in marriages. You get on each other's nerves, you make up for it. You're gonna have those good times more than you have those times where you get on each other's nerves.
Right. As long as
So,
the
as long as you
good
can come-
times outweigh the bad, then you can.
Absolutely.
It's when it switches and the bad is always. And then there's some good times that you don't want.
Yeah.
But that's where the like is completely gone, like you said.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I've always had this fascination, this idea that a relationship just, it trends up,
It can.
and there is no.
Oh no.
Oh no, not
It's
No,
like a
no.
relationship chart. It's
The
like
relationship
Oh.
is literally like a roller coaster, but if the foundation that keeps the roller coaster together is solid, the like and where you guys, first met at, and that's good, then you'll be able to finish the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I
something
guess,
I've learned.
I guess 91 years is possible.
Oh, it's
Yes.
going to be possible. It's going to happen through thick or thin until the end.
You said it, my friend.
Oh my god!
I was waiting for someone else to add something.
So, without further ado, this concludes our session with the co-hosts of the P.I.T podcast, Darnell and Dom. Again, we're just gonna make sure you guys have the links, plural, to their personal, to their group thing, to the DG2 motivated. All the things that they got going on is all positivity. And that's what we love about it, is trying to put some more light out into the world because, hey, if God is love, then the world needs a little bit more love. And that's our duty to put it out there as best we can.
For sure.
So you can always find us. You want to do it? No? Okay. On YouTube, Living with QFLO is on everything. So always go ahead and share, comment, subscribe. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can, giving a platform to blended families. In addition to what is very important is bringing people on to make sure our relationship is strong, not only for us, because God did put us together, so we want to honor Him and in everything that we do, but to set the example for the kids too. We don't want a house divided, we want a house together. So YouTube, you can see all of our videos on there. Facebook, you can find us there too, Living with QFLO, and Instagram, and just help us share the love with everybody else.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having us.
All righty.
Thank you, friends.
See ya.
See ya.